Good afternoon and welcome to the February 9th meeting of the Pittsburgh Land Bank Board. Sally, please call roll.
Thank you, Chairman. My name is Emily Kalchak, the Assistant Manager of the Pittsburgh Land Bank, and I will be calling today's roll. Dr. Jamil Bey,
Present.
Councilman Daniel Lavelle, Councilman Bobby Wilson,
Here.
Councilman Kahari Mosley,
Here.
Director Karen Breen,
Present.
Director Steve Mazza,
Here.
and Director Wanda Wilson.
Here.
We have a quorum. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you. That takes us to public comment. If there are any members of the public who would like to speak, please use the raise hand function in the bottom menu. As a reminder, public comment is taken at the beginning and a second time at the end of the meeting. If you are going to give public comment, begin by stating your name, neighborhood, and/or organization affiliation. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Are there any hands raised?
All right, and just one moment, Dr. May, I'm having a delay on my end to pull up the attendees, but I do believe we have, give me one moment. All right. Okay, so I see 2 attendees with raised hands, so I'll call them in order of Billy Vaughn and then Kendall Pelling. So we'll start with Billy Vaughn.
Hello. Hi, I'm Billy Vaughn, and now for neighborhood, I'm just saying I'm representing citywide, residents citywide, and organization, community. And for my public comment, I'm probably going to speak after, but before, I just want to ask, and I know it's not going to be answered, and that's another comment, but how is residents supposed to inquire about properties being transferred into the land bank? There's no inquiry forms or anything for residents to be able to acquire about properties, but we see that organizations are acquiring properties, and it seems like they're going through a different process because there's actually nothing on the website. There's no contacts for residents to be able to start their process. So what is the process for residents? And when we're given these public comments, I've been given public comments every month, and like, how are public comments taken into consideration? When does the land bank reply to questions that are addressed to the board? When does the land bank, take public comments from the community? Because when the community was fighting for these agreements to be passed during public comment, the land bank was there contacting us, asking us to come and speak. But once the agreement got in place and the money was in place for these organizations to acquire property, the residents are no longer hearing from the land bank. So we're just trying to see what is the communication for the residents that are interested in these properties also. So that's it. That's my public comment.
Thank you for that. As you know, we generally do not respond to public comments during the meeting, but someone can follow up with you afterwards. And next speaker, please.
Next, we have Kendall Pelling.
Kendall.
Hello, Land Bank Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I want to thank you all for the hard work you've been doing to get the land bank up and running and moving, and to highlight today the great success, which is a series of properties that are in the Garfield neighborhood that are being moved from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank. These are properties that Rising Tide Partners has been involved with for the last couple of years. These are properties where a speculator filed conservatorship against the city of Pittsburgh, and the Garfield community worked with us, and we worked to intervene in those conservatorship actions and collaborated with our council member and the Bloomfield Garfield Corporation and the local board of Garfield Housing Reclamation LLC, which is the Rising Tide Partners Garfield subsidiary, and our Garfield Steering Committee to plan for these properties to become affordable homeownership opportunities. And the beautiful thing happening now is that the land bank is coming into that process as an excellent tool to enable these properties to be brought under responsible public control, and then move to stabilization, and then allow us with community partners and nonprofits to move them to home ownership. This timing is really good because it will allow us to bring these properties, the rehab properties in this list, into the URA's own PGH process so that they can become affordable home ownership houses. And without this type of action by the land bank, these properties could remain tangled with tangled title and tangled public ownership for a good while to come. So we appreciate the hard work of the staff in working with the city and the city law department and finding this solution. So thank you all for the work you're doing to get the land bank going. We think that it's a really important tool for the city of Pittsburgh, and we look forward to continuing to be a partner and tool to help the land bank and our council members and our communities to recycle these vacant abandoned properties and to achieve our mission, which is to prevent displacement of low-income residents at the same time as we work to stabilize these neighborhoods. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Kendall. Next speaker, are there other speakers?
So there are no other raised hands in the attendees list. So I'll just pause for one moment. If anyone else would like to raise their hand and make public comment. All right. Oh,
Okay,
seeing
thank
no,
you.
yeah, no other
You can-
raised hands. Back to you, Chair.
We will have another round of public comment at the conclusion of the meeting. So that takes us to the chairman's report. We're going to welcome new board member, Councilman Kari Mosley. This is you, Sally, or am I giving the welcome to?
This is
Councilman
you,
Mosley.
or I think we could invite other board members as well. if
I
anyone wanted to
can
come.
welcome Kari. I know him pretty well. Council Mosley was appointed by the Pittsburgh City Council to a 3-year term on the Pittsburgh Land Bank Board of Directors. It took effect upon confirmation by Pittsburgh City Council at the meeting on January 30th, 2024. His term will expire on March 1st, 2027. He will serve in the designated seat for its council that was vacated by former Councilman Ricky Burgess, whose term had expired and resigned. Welcome, Councilman Board Member Mosley.
Thank you, Dr. Bay.
All right, now it takes us to acceptance of nominations for the PLB Board Executive Committee. Motion to accept officers. Are there any nominations?
Oh, and Chair, would you like to start call out position by position?
Sure. Is there a nomination for chair?
Damn it.
That's difficult to hear. Is there a nomination for chair?
I nominate Councilman Wilson for chair.
Second.
Second that.
Are there other nominations? Okay, hearing none. Is there a nomination for vice chair?
Nominate Councilman or Council President. Second that.
The microphone in that room is not very.
I'll do it again. I nominate President Daniel Lavelle.
Second.
That.
Are there other nominations for vice chair? Or nomination for secretary?
I'll nominate Councilman Mosley.
I'll second that.
That nomination was for
Councilman Kahari Mosley.
Kari Mosley. Thank you. Are there other nominations? All right, and that finally, is there a nomination for treasurer?
I nominate Wanda Wilson.
Second.
Okay, are there any other nominations for treasurer? All right, I'm assuming that all of you accept those nominations. So seeing that none of these require an individual vote, is there a motion to accept the chosen officers for board chairman, vice chairman, secretary, and treasurer?
So moved.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, well, so we'll take a vote for that. All in favor of accepting the slate as posed?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, that passes. Welcome, our new Board of Executives. I'll continue in this role until the end of the meeting unless you want to take over from here, Councilman Wilson.
I'm happy to take over, but
Yeah, whatever.
you know, don't want to, you know, I wanted my first, you know, shot at chairing, not to be contentious.
Well, jump right in and say we have the open board for the seat that's taking my place. So push me out of here, Councilman.
All right. Well, with that, first I'd like to thank all members for, you know, the vote that we just had for the board and also for me as chair. Looking forward to continue the good work that we all started here, and you'll be dearly missed, Dr. Bay. So thank you for all your work here, and you know, you get to walk away saying you were here when we started making it work. So that's a big achievement.
That was my goal from the beginning. Let's
That's
get
a
a
big
functioning
achievement.
land bank and then I can get out of the way and let some folks do it.
We have more work to do, and I'm looking forward to getting busy to make that happen. And with that, we have an open board seat. The board has reviewed 4 applications received from community members to replace the vacancy from the departure of Dr. Jamil Bay, and the floor is now open. Are there any nominations for our open board seat?
I nominate Jennifer Cashwade.
Second.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing that, believe we can take a vote now. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Are there any noes or abstentions? Okay, seeing that, with that, welcome to the Land Bank, Jennifer Cash-Wade, to the Board of Directors for a term to begin on March 8th, 2024.
Oh, and Chair, if we could just mention just to highlight the process here. So Land Bank staff collected these applications, shared them out with the board as a whole for board members to review.
Yes,
This is our as a note.
thank you for that clarification. And we want to move on to the approval of the January 2024 board minutes. We have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? All right, passes. Acceptance of January 2024 financials and approval of the monthly expenditures. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Sorry, I'm gonna start mentioning discussion if I'm moving too fast. You feel free to stop me. Any noes? Abstentions? All right. We also have an authorization to enter into an agreement of 2024 audit services and of a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion maybe, you know, Sally, if you'd like to go over what we're looking at here.
Yeah, I'll just mention, so this is the annual audit required by state land bank law that we submit to the State Department, the DCED, every year.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? With that, sorry, go ahead. Someone say something? With that, all in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Okay, that it passes. We have staff updates section here for the property and sales updates. Sally, would you like to take over this?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This is Sally Stadelman, manager of the Pittsburgh Land Bank. We're going to review some staff updates. First, we'd like to highlight a sale that was completed since last month's board meeting. This is a section of land that has been sold to the Hazelwood Initiative to complete a playground that Hazelwood Initiative installed here on Lytle Street. So this made its way from the URA to the land bank to Hazelwood Initiative. And we can see Hazelwood Initiative's Executive Director, Sonia, with Emily there celebrating this sale. So thank you. And then we wanted to go over, just keep the board updated on where property that has been approved by this board is in our transfer process. So the board approved a slate of properties at the November 2023 board meeting. Those have been approved by council and city law has been working to prepare deeds. And so we are expecting those to arrive in the next couple of weeks. We'll have some properties going to Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation, Rising Tide Partners in Hazelwood. I believe we have a second slide here with some information as well. The Kincaid Street Community Garden, part of the site assembly for the Allegheny Land Trust, Heelcrest Farm in Garfield, the Old Allegheny Community Garden, affordable housing project, a pilot side yard sale, and a campus expansion for the Brasseers Association. And so just highlighting that process here. So we can begin to put some timelines on what it generally looks like for us to bring property into our inventory. Once that property arrives here, we will be entering into license agreements where appropriate for organizations that need to have access to that property, while we then begin our quiet title process. And once quiet title is completed, we will be able to sell the property. Okay, so next batch, the board approved another slate of properties, January 2024. These properties will be before City Council next week at standing committee. So they're searchable on Legistar to look up. Again, some more structures going to the Pittsburgh Housing Development Corporation for 80% AMI affordable home rehabs. An additional structure for stabilization going to Rising Tide Partners. Let's go to the next. An opportunity for Farmer Girl Ebb in Crafton Heights to open up a fresh farm stand, kind of a site completion in Spring Garden here for the Garden Cafe, and some property going to Habitat for Humanity. And here might be a really great place to pause, where we got a excellent comment during public comment, commenting on that at this moment we've been seeing come through the land bank is property that is largely moving to nonprofits and community development corporations that complete affordable housing projects, and that we generally have our end user identified before we are coming before the board. And so our approach so far is that because these are very new processes, really we've been trying to work with organizations that have already have a lot of experience and capacity purchasing from the city and the URA, as we're really learning and implementing our own processes for the first time. A lot of these projects that have been approved, some of them conversations had been going on for years with some of these organizations who had been trying to purchase property from the city or the URA. But we are really excited to move towards being able to identify more property that we can make available for regular residents. And we're really hoping to build out programming there where the legwork of finding properties that are a good fit for residents can happen before, right? That the onus isn't on a resident to have to find and locate a property and try and figure out what's even out there and available and appropriate for someone to try and take on. So we're really, really happy to keep hearing those comments in our public comments, and we hope we can work towards building that programming out with this board as well. Yes, and then here is our projected timeline for that second batch of properties. We have an estimated date of we're expecting these to arrive in our inventory April 19th. And of course, that quiet title process to follow. All right, and then recall, so we have some properties moving out of the URA's inventory where the land bank is acting as a pass-through. So these are those projects, and land bank staff have been working with these end users to execute sales. Again, a lot of projects that had been in the works for quite some time, and just, you know, because of the timing when the land bank began to come online, these happen to make sense as property that we were able to assist with the sale. All right, and then we had one property on the agenda last month that is coming out of the URA's inventory. Again, a years-long project where Bloomfield Garfield had been working with the Urban Redevelopment Authority to make this project happen. And so we're coming in to facilitate the end of the sale, essentially, because these had already been on a path to sale. So, and then we have an open objection period currently for these projects. So if residents have any questions or concerns, they can follow this link here or give land bank staff a call. And we're happy to take questions or accept objections. And then recall that for our objection process, if we receive 15 or more residents who file that objection, which is just a very simple form on our website, that will then trigger a community meeting requirement where we would collect that information from any concerns from residents at the meeting and bring that back to the board. The board would then complete a second vote to approve that property. All right, and then another update on our property pipeline. So recall that the land bank entered a donation agreement with the city of Pittsburgh to cover the cost of quieting title on property that has been in the property reserve destined for community development corporations. So a process that had been in place for quite some time before it sunsetted in 2020. So you can see here that the first two columns are properties that have been successfully sold. We have another section of properties that are ready to be purchased. I think many of these CDCs are actively working to complete those sales. And then we're finalizing that very last batch of properties that will soon also be ready to purchase. And then these, I'll mention too that this is, these are all, these are going to be purchased directly out of the city's inventory. So that will not be the case in the future, but again, for this kind of interim program, that's. All right, we have an ARPA update for the board, which is that our first, we've received our first allocation of our ARPA funding that has been sent over from the city of Pittsburgh. So we're really happy to have the funds in the account to cover our 2024 operations and expenses. And I do want to highlight too, as part of that, the ARPA allocation. So recall that the Pittsburgh Land Bank we have 2.5 staff dedicated to the land bank, but we have a cooperation agreement with the URA. And that is how we are able to execute and complete a lot of our daily activities. We have access to a lot of really talented expert staff that help us complete daily operations, advise us on how to best build out our own programming. And so this is probably not even completely exhaustive, but a list of many of the staff that we work with often here at the URA that support our efforts at the land bank, and which we cover those staff costs in order to keep the land bank running. I also wanted to take a moment to highlight some positive press and really the changes that we've seen even just over the last couple of years. If everyone recalls, in October of 2022, about a month after I started as the land bank manager, this was a Post-Gazette editorial that had been written about the land bank recommending that we really should just throw it all out and start over. So fast forward a year and a half later, and we've received a lot of press coverage in that time. And of course, we're always, as any municipal entity, appreciative of any coverage. We can see that there's been a really great change in the nature of that coverage. So and just highlighting the just what was published last month. And I think that brings us to the end of our staff updates. Yeah.
Thank you.
Back to you, Chairman.
We have some action items here. We have 8 action items. These are resolutions authorizing the acquisition from the city of Pittsburgh to the Pittsburgh Land Bank for conveyance to end users. First one up is the resolution number 24. This is acquisition of sale of 0 Kincaid Street. And this is a resolution authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50E, Lot 80, in the 10th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh, and the sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners. Okay. It's all good. I come from the parking authority where we read our own resolutions, but I'm happy to go back to council standards where we have our pseudo clerk. What's that? I primed the first one, so we'll just continue on the first one. We'll have you pick up on the second one. So do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Second.
Discussion? Sally, would you like to?
Yeah, so and the majority of properties before the board today are going to fall under this category here. So we heard from Executive Director Kendall Pelling during public comment today. So these are properties coming out of the city's inventory. There had been conservatorship cases filed on these by private investors. The community intervened, and then there has been leadership as a whole has been working to find an appropriate resolution for these properties. And so I know I'm very excited that the land bank is now in a position where we're able to accept these properties and steward them and make sure that they are going to a responsible end use. And so these first batch that we're seeing here are all identified for affordable housing development.
And I can interject as well.
Yeah.
These are all, in District 9, and me and my chief of staff who's joining me today had opportunity to talk to Kendall, earlier this week, and really do a deep dive, and like you said, if not all, the vast majority of these parcels that we're voting on today will be affordable housing, in Garfield. So, we really, I'm very much, in support, of their efforts and their commitment to stemming the tide of displacement in Garfield. As some of you may know, my chief of staff is from Garfield, so Garfield is near and dear to her heart, and we want to make sure that we, as we redevelop the community in a positive way, we don't push those out who have really given their blood, sweat, and tears to hold Garfield together. But I support the efforts and applaud the efforts of Rising Tide and Kendall Pelling.
And then did anyone have, I'll pause for any other questions or comments from board members?
Just want to note what we have in front of us isn't fully transparent on the slide. And I just wanted for the public, is it possible to
Yes.
specify
That was-
title holding cost, total costs?
Yes, so for members of the public following along, so you'll see we have listed up here an acquisition cost. That represents what it will cost the land bank to purchase that property from the city's inventory. What you'll see if you go to our website and pull up the agenda for today. So we have that listed as both the cost that we will pay to the city, but also there is a $181.75 cost to record the deed with the county. So that's actually included in the acquisition, and that's standard for any real estate transaction that, you know, occurs, whether public or private. So we include that there. So that is, this cost here is just what it will take for us to acquire from the city. It doesn't represent the sales price, which will include at minimum the cost to quiet the title of the property, and also any holding costs accrued while the land bank owns and is responsible for that parcel. We have one, and then these are all direct, they are all direct sales, non-competitive dispositions.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Anyone have a motion to approve?
So move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Passes. Will you please read second B, resolution number 25?
Thank you, Chairman. Resolution number 25, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50E, Lot 83 in the 10th Ward from the City of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
So make a motion to
So
approve.
move.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Sally?
And again, this is another one of those 7 parcels, part of that affordable housing development, moving out of conservatorship to Rising Tide Partners.
Our next resolution, number 26, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50F, Lot 101 in the 10th Ward from the City of Pittsburgh, and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
Oh, yeah, okay. That was in a vote.
So sorry, there was some discussion here. I don't want anyone that's watching online to think that we're not having the mics on while we're talking.
Yeah.
About something that should be public. So I just want to, for the record, we did not vote on resolution number 25. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, any noes, abstentions? Passes.
All right. Thank you, Chairman. Once more, resolution number 26, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50F, Lot 101 in the 10th Ward from the City of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
Motion to approve, anyone?
So move.
Second.
Discussion?
Patrick? Patrick Nicholas.
Discussion.
Oh, yes, so this is the same, another parcel
this is from
included in
Smurf.
that 7 moving out of the conservatorships to an affordable housing.
Before
development.
Patrick.
November?
And I-
Director Wilson, we're hearing some feedback if you wouldn't mind muting. Thank you.
Sally, did you
Yes,
cover?
yes. So this is, and this is, you'll see there are a mix of structures and lots. You'll notice the change here in acquisition cost. It is $5,000 for the land bank to acquire a structure out of the city's inventory. But again, this is all for that affordable housing project. So we'll acquire, clear title and convey to Rising Tide Partners for the development.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Abstentions? Passes. We're on to resolution 27.
Resolution number 27, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50G, Lot 242 in the 10th Ward from the City of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
A motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
All right, discussion? Sally?
Oh, yes, and this is an additional one of those properties in that batch of 7 moving to this affordable housing project.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Noes? Abstentions? Passes. That brings us to resolution number 28.
Resolution number 28, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50H, Lot 59 in the 11th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
We have a motion to approve.
Second. So moved, Chairman.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Sally?
Again, this is one of those 7 moving out of the conservatorship cases to the land bank for transfer for an affordable housing project.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Motion passes. And we're going to resolution number 29.
Resolution number 29, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50L, Lot 325A in the 10th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
A motion to approve.
So moved.
Any discussion?
Another structure that is included in this initial transfer for destined for an affordable housing project. And I will just point out, I'm always extra excited to see row homes included in properties being transferred to the land bank because they are much more expensive to if they are destined to be torn down. So in my mind, always a really great opportunity for preservation of housing.
Yes, we love attached housing in Pittsburgh, so really looking forward to saving these structures. And with that, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Resolution number 29 passes. We're on to resolution number 30.
Resolution number 30, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 50M, Lot 305 in the 11th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcel to Rising Tide Partners.
A motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and discussion? Sally?
And this is the final property to be before the board today. This is an additional structure, again, to be transferred from the city to the Pittsburgh Land Bank to Rising Tide Partners for an affordable housing development.
Any other discussion? And just want to say it's great to see that there's these affordable housing being put in place at the land bank. Always great to see, especially that was one of the big asks from council was to include as much affordable housing as possible. So without any more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Resolution number 30 passes. Resolution number 31, please.
Resolution number 31, authorizing the acquisition by the Pittsburgh Land Bank of Block 125M, Lot 181, and Block 174J, Lot 28 in the 13th Ward from the city of Pittsburgh and sale of the same parcels to Lawrence Uradu or a related entity.
Motion to approve.
Treat me good.
Is there a second?
Second, actually motion with discussion.
In discussion, yeah. You want to have Sally go first? Or-
And so maybe we could pause. I think we have some background. Yeah, thank you. So these couple of parcels have come to us. This person actually originally applied to purchase from the city of Pittsburgh. This parking lot was originally part of 125M 268, which is this a parking lot. And I want to 615 North Lang. So the apartment building is already owned by Mr. Uradu. But a previous entity had lost the parking lot in a tax sale. So at one point in time, all three of these parcels were owned by the same entity. The parking lots were included on their certificate of occupancy to make them a legal apartment building. And then, of course, they ended up in the city's inventory. The sale today is both to reunite the parking lot with the apartment building to make it a usable building. But it also will support a proposed affordable housing development in that apartment building as well.
Great. And further discussion, Councilman Mosley.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm very familiar with Mr. Aradu. He's working on a number of development projects in Homewood, including rehabbing the historic Baker's Dairy on Hamilton. And he's also has a number of affordable housing developments in the community. He's a physician. He's a Nigerian American, originally from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, but is really, really taken to Pittsburgh and has really established himself, as someone who is really passionate about redeveloping the Homewood community and making sure folks from the community are a part of it. So I'm really, excited, to support the work that he's doing. And I really enjoyed the conversations we've had. To this date, he's really been involved in the community. And he was even at the Homewood Development Collaborative meeting, last night, supporting another project by African-American developer. So he's really, really has become a part of the community. So it's good to see that we're going to be able to have these parcels kind of under the same entity like it was, and provide parking, for the residents of this, future affordable housing project.
And let me also just note there too, that it's so wonderful that we were pleasantly surprised to hear that Councilman Mosley knew this person and could speak to their good work. But the way that this came to the land bank was through the land bank participates in a review committee of most proposed city purchases. And so this had originally come to us as, again, with not so much background on the person, but just this need, a practical need to reunite the parking lot to the structures. So it was then later that this person was also identified as someone that also has a good reputation with their community and their council member. So I do just want to point that out, that's our goal, is to kind of find those practical places that we can be helpful, rather than, it coming from the council member to the land bank. Yeah.
Thank you, Sally.
Thanks. Any other discussion? That all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any noes, abstentions? Resolution number 31 passes. Moves us on to legislative updates. Sally, would you like to?
Yes, thank you, Chair. So recall, as we have been highlighting at probably every board meeting in 2023, a very important next step for the Pittsburgh Land Bank to be a fully functional entity is entering an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the city, school district, and county, also known as the three taxing bodies, so that we have an agreed upon process by which we are able to clear away back taxes. And this is especially important for the land bank to begin to use the sheriff's sale, which provides for a more efficient quiet title process, and perhaps a priority bid. So we're very happy to say that there are continued discussions going on, and we're excited to provide future updates to the board.
Thank you.
And back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Appreciate you going over that. That moves us on to public comment. And during this public comment phase, remember that we have the hand function, the raise hand function. Please use that in the bottom menu if you wish to speak during public comment. As a reminder, the public comment is taken at the beginning and a second time at the end of the meeting, which is where we are now. And to begin, please state your name, your neighborhood, and or organization and affiliation. And you have 3 minutes to speak. Sally, do we have any speakers with a raised hand?
Yes, Miss Billy Vaughn.
Ms. Vaughn?
Hello, I'm here, sorry. All right, I'm gonna just respond to Sally because your comment was towards my comment. So Sally, you started the land bank manager in 2022. So how could you say that like the organizations and nonprofits that are acquiring these properties have experience for years or acquired one of these properties for years if you weren't even here? Because for years, since when I was working for the city in a real estate department, one of the biggest issues with these properties were the same CDCs and organizations that had these properties in property reserve for years, where nobody could do anything with them, no type of development. And these properties were forced to come out of that reserve because they didn't do anything with them. So we're just creating another process for the same type of organizations to be able to do the same thing. And I think you're not understanding like my fight. We understand and respect what CDCs and organizations like Kindle can do for affordable housing. I agree totally, but you cannot think and determine what a resident has the capacity to do as far as a renovation on a property. That is not your choice to say the resident doesn't have the capacity to build, so let's take it off your hands. Because and I'm just using Kindle as an example. I like Kindle, but I'm going to use them as as an example. How can someone like Kindle, an organization, get funding, he's not paying out of pocket, get funding for acquisition on properties in predominantly Black communities, and then quote, sell them to a good end user that we don't know, but we're hoping it's a good end user. Do you know that's all profit? So he's not coming out of no pocket to acquire these properties, but they get to sell them and then reap the benefits. Why can't someone in a Black community do that with one property? Why is it we need to make sure you are capable. We need to make sure, and there is a way to screen them to make sure that they do have the finances to do a property. But why is it so hard that we have to fight for these residents to be able to get one just so they could get the same type of re-up that Kendall is getting on a lot of properties in their community? I don't understand why there's not just some sort of conversation that you're allowing these residents to be able to create some economic wealth in their community and just saying, we're going to take this off your hands and we're going to allow Kendall to do it for you because you don't have the capacity to do that. You don't have the power to determine that, because there's a lot of these residents that have been doing this before you came onto the land bank, before I was born. These auctions, a lot of these people in the community been taking properties from these auctions, building them paycheck by paycheck, and being able to.
Thank you for your comments. And we will look for other speakers. Are there any other speakers with their hands raised?
We do not have any other hands raised. Just pause. Okay, yes, so we have no further speakers.
All right, with no further speakers, I'd like to make before we adjourn here, I'd like to make an announcement that our next board meeting is scheduled for March 8th, 2024. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everyone.